The warning signs are no longer whispers. Across the Philippines, small cracks in local economies, weakening infrastructures, and rising environmental pressures have quietly expanded into deep fractures threatening entire provinces. Many Filipinos living in these areas already feel the shift. Higher prices, shrinking opportunities, extreme weather events coming faster and harder than ever. But national headlines barely scratch the surface. What's happening beneath the radar is bigger than people realize. And 2026 may be the year these hidden vulnerabilities collide. This is an urgent look into 10 Philippine provinces teetering on the edge, economically, environmentally, and socially. And what happens next could reshape the country for years. Before diving deeper, a quick message. If you care about the future of the Philippines, stay with this video. The realities facing these provinces are interconnected, and the solutions depend on awareness. In northern Luzon, the province of Cagayan faces a dangerous cocktail of climate and economic pressure. Once a calm agricultural province, it now sits directly in the path of increasingly violent typhoons. Rivers that once fed farmlands now burst their banks, flooding entire communities and washing away livelihoods in hours. The port expansions and foreign-backed projects promised economic growth, but many residents fear these same developments are accelerating deforestation and coastal erosion. By 2026, analysts warn that certain low-lying municipalities may no longer be livable during storm seasons, placing Cagayan in a silent race against an unpredictable climate. Moving south, Isabela, the rice granary of the north, is cracking under the stress of extremes. Too much rain one month, crushing drought the next. Farmers struggle to maintain harvests as irrigation systems fail to keep up with the new climate patterns. Debt among farming households has surged. Entire barangays rely more on loans than on their actual harvests. If the climate continues shifting, food insecurity could ripple far beyond the province, threatening national supply stability. The danger isn't that Isabela stops producing. It's that production becomes unreliable, unpredictable, and financially unsustainable. Across the archipelago in the Bicol region, Catanduanes faces a different kind of crisis. Known as the land of the howling winds, the island has always endured strong typhoons. But these storms have evolved into something far more destructive. Power infrastructure collapses repeatedly, leaving the province in cycles of darkness and recovery. The local economy, still heavily reliant on agriculture and small trade, cannot bounce back fast enough before the next storm arrives. The psychological toll is immense. Communities barely rebuild before another catastrophe threatens to undo their progress. By 2026, studies show that without major reinforcement, Catanduanes' essential infrastructure will remain perpetually vulnerable. Not far away, Albay lives under the looming shadow of Mayon volcano. Perfect as its shape may be, the volcano's increased activity has strained emergency systems, displaced thousands, and disrupted tourism, the province's economic backbone. Ashfall damages crops and corrodes machinery. Evacuation centers overflow, and funding struggles to keep up with the cyclical need for shelter, relief, and rehabilitation. The threat isn't just a catastrophic eruption. It's the unending cycle of small eruptions and continuous displacement that slowly eats away at the local economy. Experts worry that if Mayon enters another long eruptive phase, Albay could experience severe financial downturns by 2026. Heading down to the Visayas, Leyte still carries the scars of Typhoon Yolanda more than a decade later. While progress has been made, many communities never fully recovered. Poverty remains high, housing projects remain incomplete, and disaster resilience programs constantly fall short of the raw force of climate risks. Storm surges are rising, coastal towns continue sinking, and many residents face the painful choice of staying in their hometowns or migrating for survival. Economic data shows a widening gap between coastal and inland recovery, signaling deeper structural issues that could push portions of Leyte toward economic stagnation. Across the water, northern Samar stands in an even more fragile state. Limited access to medical care, high poverty rates, and exposed coastlines create a mix that leaves the province extremely vulnerable. Agriculture struggles due to poor soil conditions and outdated tools. Many young residents migrate to other regions or to Manila in search of jobs, leaving behind an aging population that's harder for local systems to support. By 2026, Northern Samar risks becoming one of the least economically active provinces in the country unless significant intervention arrives. Further south, in Mindanao, the province of Maguindanao del Sur faces a different pressure: security and economic uncertainty. While peace efforts continue, instability still affects commerce, education, and mobility. Development projects move slower than expected due to both political fragmentation and environmental obstacles such as flooding and landslides. Many communities still depend heavily on aid. If the region cannot stabilize its local industries by 2026, it risks falling deeper into economic isolation, making recovery even harder. In the Davao region, Davao de Oro grapples with repeated landslides caused by mining operations and deforestation. Families living near slopes face constant danger. Some barangays have already been declared no-build zones, forcing residents to relocate. But relocation areas lack jobs, transportation, and basic services. Mining continues to provide economic value, but at the cost of long-term environmental stability. By 2026, experts fear that continuous soil erosion could trigger larger, deadlier landslides capable of displacing thousands. In the island province of Basilan, the problems stem from ongoing conflict, limited trade access, and slow economic growth. While peace-building has made progress, the lingering perception of instability discourages investors. Agriculture remains underdeveloped due to weak infrastructure, and many residents face barriers to education and healthcare. Basilan stands on a fragile line. Any disruption could push it toward deeper economic strain. And then, there's the 10th province, one that analysts quietly warn could face the most dramatic collapse in 2026, a province where environmental risk, political tension, and economic instability overlap so tightly that a single trigger event could send everything spiraling. What happens there may send shockwaves across the entire country. That province is Palawan. Often described as paradise, Palawan hides a crisis beneath its natural beauty. Its forests, reefs, and coastal ecosystems are under immense stress. Rapid tourism expansion previously boosted the economy, but also strained water supplies, overwhelmed waste systems, and increased pressure on protected areas. When global travel slowed, the province felt the shock immediately: business closures, job losses, and rising food prices. Many communities rely on fishing, yet marine resources are declining due to overfishing and warming waters. Illegal logging and land conversion continue to threaten biodiversity. On top of this, Palawan sits in the trajectory of storms that now form more unpredictably. If solutions do not scale quickly, Palawan could face a total ecological and economic unraveling by 2026. With all 10 provinces revealed, a pattern emerges. Climate pressures intensify year after year. Local economies struggle to adapt. Infrastructure decays faster than it can be repaired. And socio-economic gaps widen as people migrate out of vulnerable areas. The collapse of one province doesn't stay contained. It influences neighboring regions, national supply chains, healthcare systems, and even political stability. The deeper truth is that the Philippines is facing a slow-moving storm, one built not only from natural disasters, but also from decades of underinvestment, environmental neglect, and uneven development. The provinces on this list aren't failing because they lack strength. They are failing because they have been fighting alone for too long. Their challenges reflect a national problem, an archipelago where resilience is uneven and recovery is never guaranteed. But collapse is not destiny. Many local leaders, NGOs, scientists, and community organizations are working tirelessly to reverse the damage. Reforestation efforts, climate-adaptive farming, microfinance for rural communities, renewable energy projects, and improved disaster readiness all show signs of promise. The question is whether these efforts will grow fast enough to match the speed of the threats approaching. Imagine Cagayan with rivers reinforced, flood systems modernized, and farms protected by advanced forecasting tools. Imagine Isabella's farmers using drought-resistant rice varieties that can survive extreme shifts. Imagine Albay with structured evacuation communities built for long-term habitation, not temporary survival. Imagine Leyte and Samar finally receiving the infrastructure investments they've needed for more than a decade. Imagine Basilan, Maguindanao del Sur, and Davao de Oro with stable industries, education systems, and disaster-proof homes. Imagine Palawan's ecosystems restored through long-term protection rather than overuse. The Philippines is not lacking in resilience. It is lacking in time. And 2026 is shaping up to be the year when resilience will be tested, not by a single disaster, but by the cumulative weight of many. As viewers, researchers, or citizens, the next steps matter. Awareness is the first step, but it cannot be the last. The future of these provinces depends on sustained attention, policy pressure, and community-level support. That leads to this important message. If this video has opened your eyes to what many provinces are facing, share it. Awareness spreads faster than disaster, but only if people take action. Help amplify the conversation. Encourage others to care before it's too late. Change begins with information, but it grows when more people join in. And now, before we end, let us know in the comments which province you believe deserves urgent attention in 2026. Your comment doesn't just help the channel, it pushes this topic to others who need to see it. Tap the like button if you believe awareness can spark real change. And if you want more deep dive content like this, do well to subscribe to this channel. The Philippines is at a crossroads. The choices made today will decide what survives tomorrow.